come in our monastery. The monastery is called the Holy Virgin Mary el-Surian. This monastery was established in the 5th century. I will give you a brief about the monasticism in our valley, Valley of Skitus. First, Saint Macarius the Great. This is a fresco about Saint Macarius the Great, who takes the blessing from Saint Anthony in the 4th century. And after he takes the blessing, he came here in the Skitus, in the valley of Wadi Natrun, this place, and he established 4 monasteries before 390. He departed in 390. So he established 4 monasteries. Saint John the Little, or the Small, Yahnis al-Qasir, Saint Bishoy, El-Baramos, and Saint Macarius. These 4 monasteries was established and constructed in the 4th century. In the 5th century, there was a heresy about the incarnation, or the Theotokos. You know the Theotokos? It's a Greek word about the Mother of God. Mother of God. So there was a heresy that says that she is Mother of Christ. She is Mother of the flesh. She is not the Mother of God. So the Coptic monks, they established, they duplicate monasteries or churches beside the old ones in the 5th century. So here, this monastery, in the beginning, it was called the Lady or Theotokos of Saint Bishoy. It's like 200 meters or 300 meters from Saint Bishoy, and it was established, constructed in the 5th century. And we call it in the beginning Lady of Saint Bishoy. After that, it became bigger, and it was unique. Like nowadays, we have only 4 big monasteries in our Valley of Skitus, in this place. I will start in this monastery. I said that the monastery is built beside the cave of Saint Bishoy. Saint Bishoy monastery is far, I'm told, 300 meters from here, but his cave for his solitary life is at the end of this church. So when they started to build the monastery here, they took the church, they built the church in front of the cave to take the blessing of this place. Because Saint Bishoy lived in solitary life for 35 years in this cave. He used to have a mass. There was an altar to have the mass, and it's a very holy place. Jesus Christ appeared to him 3 times in this cave. So when they built the church, this church called the Holy Virgin Mary el-Sourian, which was built in the 7th century. By this, it's a cross shape and semi-domes. This the wings of the cross, and the vault, the nave is a vault from ceiling is nave, and they started to paint the walls, to make frescoes, the Coptic in 7th century. So they made frescoes, nice frescoes from the 7th and 8th century, like this one, the Nativity of Jesus Christ, which shows Saint Mary on her bosom, Jesus Christ, and on her right, left side, Saint Gabriel Archangel is talking to the shepherd on our right side. And the other side, the wise men, the guide, and their names underneath. This is a Coptic fresco from the 8th century. We have a Dutch mission. They come here to restore these frescoes. They found, when they started, they found that there is more than 1 layer, 2 layers. The Syrian came, I'm sorry, I didn't talk about why we call it Syrian, because the Syrian monks came in the 8th century, and stayed in the monastery from the 8th century till the 16th century, together with the Coptic monks. So they put their frescoes. They plastered parts of the walls and put their frescoes, Syrian frescoes, over the Coptic ones. Sometimes it's 1 layer, sometimes it's 2 layers. In the semi-dome, there are 2 layers. This one is Syrian. It's Nativity and Annunciation. There is another layer behind this one. We are not sure what's the story of this. Maybe when we take off this one, we can know the other one. At the end of the church, on the west side, we have the Annunciation, and there was one over it about the Ascension of Jesus Christ. The one over this one was the decease of St. Mary, and all what we took from this semi-domes, we put it in a museum, so we can have double. We have a small chapel a small church exactly like this one, but smaller than this, and had the semi-dome. We put every frescoes in its place. You know what I mean? Yes. So we will have two churches. The other church, or the museum, we call it Ambakaras Church. We have the mass, we attend the mass also in this church. The Syrians stayed here for 800 years. They have the abbot, they have their abbot in their section, and the Coptic have another abbot to take care of them. But they can have together, they can attend the mass. Maybe they talk in Syrian, the Coptic talk in Coptic, but they can attend the mass, so have the same dogma. So in the 9th century, they constructed this door, and it's written in Syrian. Someone know the Syrian language? I think it's written from the right side to the left, exactly like Arabic. And it's written here that this door was constructed in 913, in the beginning of the 10th century. It is 6 panels made of ebony, inlaid with ivory. This ebony, the wood is ebony, and inlaid with this ivory. It's a story about the Syrian and the Coptic church. In the first row, we see here Jesus Christ and St. Mary on this side. Here he put the Coptic section, St. Marcus, the first patriarch of our church, St. Dioscorus, 5th patriarch of our church. Here Ignatius, the first patriarch of Antioch, the Syrian church, and here St. Cyrus, one of the famous fathers, patriarch in the Syrian church in the 6th century. We call this door of symbols. So we have like interpretation or explanation about this. So the first row, all this row, these panels, shows, we can see here the big crosses, the circle around the cross, an intersecting circle. So it's the apostolic era in the beginning. It was strong, the faith was strong, unity in dogma. All the church, Christian was one church. And this is the apostolic era in the 1st century. This is the 4th century. We call it, this is thrones, you know, big thrones, big seas. At that time, there was 5 big seas. Iskandaria, Roma, Antioch, Antakya, Constantinople, Urushalim. والسادس هذا the 6th one maybe Carthage, Cartagena في شمال أفريقيا, in North Africa, or Ephesus. This big seas and Emperor Constantine in the 4th century. This is the 7th century. The crescent here shows the advent of Islam, coming of Islam in Egypt, which was 641 in the 7th century. So the crescent with the cross is the 7th century when they came in Babylon, 641. This is Westica, which shows the heresies, maybe the materialistic ideologies, something like that. Everything which is wrong, which is not clear, this Westica. And in the Indian, in the Eastern religion in India, they have this Westica. And Hitler took this cross in his, but this door was made before Hitler. So nowadays we have this, a lot of sects, a lot of dominations. Maybe the faith is weak, it's not strong as it was in the beginning, and thousands of dominations, thousands of sects nowadays. At the end, the last one, the shining cross, as Jesus Christ said in Matthew 24:30, the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, which is the coming of Jesus Christ, second coming of Jesus Christ for judgment, which is the end of everything, the end of life and everything. We hope that you are ready when Jesus Christ comes at the end, in the last row, this row. This is about this door. It's 913. It's made by the Abbot Musa, who was the Abbot of the Syrian section in this. Now we don't have Syrian. All monks, they are Egyptian, they are Coptic. They left now from the 16th century. So we use both church. The Syrian used this church and the Coptic used the other church, which called Holy Virgin Mary the Cave. It's a new one kind. And then I will go over on the walls here, St. Macarius the Great, St. Cosmano de Mian, St. Contus, He was a physician, a doctor from the 4th century, and martyr. Saint Philopater Mercurius, and Julian, the emperor, was killed in the war. بعد كده Saint maybe Theodore the Oriental, Saint Theodore الشاطبي, riding these knights, and Saint Mary here. It's a unique fresco, very nice. We call it breastfeeding, which shows the human nature of Jesus Christ. I'm sorry it's hot, so I will يعني أسرع شوية الكلام. Saint Sergius Wachos, 2 martyrs from the 4th century on this quarter column, this one. Saint Sergius Wachos. And on the other side, some apostles. Saint James, the little Saint James, brother of Sunday, adoring and praising the cross. Saint Barnabas, Saint Luke, apostles of 70 apostles, from the 70 apostles. Saint Damianos, Patriarch 35 from the Alexandria, Patriarch of Alexandria. Saint Abakir, martyr from the 4th century, and a physician. Saint Vicentaus, a bishop in Upper Egypt, ordained by Saint Damianos. We finished this choir, this first choir. The second choir and the nave, we will have 2 nice frescoes on this side. Saint Macarius, Saint Cherubim is guiding him to show him the place to start monasticism, the place to construct the 4 monasteries in the 4th century. Beside it, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, there is infants or babies on the bosom, which shows the righteous people when they depart. They go in the paradise of joy, the bosom of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. After we finish, we have a fresco, Annunciation, very nice fresco, and have 4 prophets. Everyone write his prophecy about the incarnation of Saint Mary. These frescoes in Nablus, in Jerusalem. At the end, we will visit the cave of St.Mary.Sourian. We can enter from one side and go from the other side, so you will not collapse. بس أي حد عنده سؤال؟
So when I see there's a lot of frescoes up there on the roof as well, depicting certain events.
يعني. It's I want 3-4 hours to explain all the frescoes. This is the story of these frescoes about the pagans, the people that were not Christian and they accept the faith. Like we see here in Draus, one of the apostles, he went and preached in the people that eat يعني بياكلوا لحوم البشر. Yeah. And see here he is teaching them, and after he baptized them, their faces like dogs, and when they are baptized here, their faces are very shining, and so it's like a story between the two frescoes. On the east side, we can see the deceased departure of Saint Mary, and Jesus Christ over her. He is carrying her soul after. Which is a kind of a story about the decease of Saint Mary. I think it's here. Yeah, it's here. And on the other side, maybe Saint Philip. يعني في Acts 26 I think. فيلبس لما راح للخصي الحبشي. هنا مش كده؟ صحيح. هذا over Saint Andrews, Saint Philip. فيلبس الرسول أما راح لخصي كنداكا وبشره بالمسيح. دي برضو زي ما بقول لأن الستوري بتاعت الدوم دي كل البيجنز كل ما اعرفش هم اثيست يعني ولا اللي هم الملحدين ما يعرفوش ربنا. اسيس. فهي دي الستوري بتاعت احنا عندنا هنا جوه الهيكل ما اعرفش لو كان يعني نفتح لهم